Welcome to the Propaganda Report. We are doing a live stream Ask Adam the Agorist for people who are interested in taking their own liberty into their own hands, share their experiences, see what Adam has to say about his experiences, how he got started. But this is absolutely meant to be a group thing, a community. So all your questions, put them in the chats. I'll put them up. If you can't seem to chat, make sure you're logged into YouTube. I'll put those comments up on the screen, and then we'll address them. But I just was hoping, first of all, Adam, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, maybe how we met, and or why we met, and then we'll get on with the show.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Monica. I really appreciate it. My name's Adam. I do a podcast with my mother-in-law called Deborah Gets Red Pilled. And the premise is that I'm an agorist, kind of ANCAP, unhinged conspiracy theorist. And she is started off the show as a statist, lifelong believer in the mainstream media and the Democratic Party. And I just decided to ruin the golden years of her life by exposing her to the horrible truths of what the world is really like, and some conspiracy stuff, and liberty and freedom stuff. And it's going really well. She's a 9/11 truther now.
Oh my gosh, no way!
Yeah, she admitted on an episode 2 episodes ago that she doesn't believe in the democratic process anymore. Yeah, it's going good.
Wow.
She takes little steps back every once in a while, but she's grown leaps and bounds.
Wow. So you violently ripped the scales from her eyes.
Yeah. I made it pretty uncomfortable. Hey, Brad. It's been an uncomfortable journey, but I think that's the draw to our podcast. Is it's not just 2 or 3 friends sitting in a room agreeing about conspiracies. It's someone getting exposed to some really uncomfortable stuff. And the amazing part is that she has an open mind about it. I don't think she realizes how strange that is for someone like her these days, to actually be able to sit down and listen and not just make a loud screeching noise when she hears something that goes against what she's always believed. So yeah,
that does make her really unusual, small minority to be able to do that. And
yeah,
so my hat's off to her. I've met her a couple of times. I really like her, and she's a great sport, really good sport.
Yeah, she loves you. So.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
because
she's really impressed by how much you know. So.
Wow, that's super sweet. I really appreciate that. And I'm pretty red pill, so for her to like me, that's good. That's good. That means there's hope for her to go all the way. But for me, hey, did we say hello to Brad? How you doing, Brad?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Good, thanks. We're just setting the stage. People are going to start asking questions, but we're going to kind of lay out what we're talking about here. And speaking of red pilling, I kind of had a series of red pills. I was libertarian. I gave up on so then my next step was to give up on any hope for the state. So I was an anarcho-capitalist. But actually, at first, I just gave up hope in the state. And only then did I discover that that's okay, because society is self-ordering. And then I was fine with that. Then I realized that government is theoretically impossible to have your interest aligned, because you look at government as what they sell you is security. So what they need you to feel is insecurity. So I thought theoretically it is not possible to have a government that actually represents you if it's coercive, monopolistic, and it sells security. So theoretically, I was like, it has to devolve into a pathocracy. And only after I had a radio show and everything to talk about that kind of thing, did I realize that it had already happened. And it was the 9/11 thing, although for me, it was the Boston Marathon bombing. And I realized, oh my gosh, they literally hurt us so that we feel insecure and continue to give them all our money and power. Like it's already happened. By the time I realized it was theoretically inevitable, it had already happened. And then when they completely shut out Ron Paul, our kind of only hope for restoring people's interest in or belief in the possibility of self-limiting government, then that he was totally ignored by the media, and we got Trump instead. And as people just liked the R next to his name, like that he was mean to people they don't like, they stopped caring. They stopped, for me, so I was interacting with people calling my show, they stopped defending the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I realized once that what I was doing was I was trying to fight the battle within the framework of the oppressors. Like, it is the pathocracy. I know it can't work. And yet I still get out there and say, vote for Ron Paul or defend the Bill of Rights. And I realize now, especially in the COVID times, that even the fact that it's a representative mob rule thing is an illusion. There's no power whatsoever. They do not take their no power to the people. They don't take the limits prescribed by the laws or the Constitution seriously. And if I want freedom, I'm going to have to take it. If I'm an autonomous, independent individual, I am going to have to simply assert that. And that's when somebody, I think it was PQ, turned me on to Konkin. So then and then the more I learned about him, the more I realized that he saw all this. Like, he thought voting was wrong. Like, it was promoting the state, it was validating the state, which I agree with. And that you should engage in gray markets, and try not to pay taxes, because it's morally wrong to support that. And I had thought that too. I wondered if having a tax revolt was like a moral imperative. But I'm a very busy person. I structured my entire life around this framework that is now I see crumbling around me. But I want to understand a little better from you the theory behind agorism, and also how you live it, and maybe how people like us can start to get our minds and our lives around it.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to do that with you guys. I just want to do a disclaimer at first. I still pay taxes. I have a bank account. I buy stuff off Amazon. So there's people that are living this like way more seriously than me. But I think I'm a good kind of entry level into what you can do outside the confines of what the state, enforces on us. And I'm kind of doing that here in my own little corner of the world. So yeah, where do you want me to start? Just where? You're muted, Monica.
Sorry. How would you define agorism?
I think agorism, as defined by Konkin, was just like, I'll say what Konkin said, and kind of what I think is that it's starving the state through operating without paying taxes on stuff. And I think a good place to start is just figuring out what you're comfortable doing. And he talked a lot about risk reward. So like, if you can do something where the penalty is $20, but you can make $5,000 doing it, that's a pretty good payoff right there. But say you wanted to like sell somebody illegal unregistered guns, what's your profit margin on that? A couple $100 or federal prison. So that's like not the best, but you got to weigh that out and figure it out for yourself. And there's tons of stuff that's just super easy to do, that's considered gray market, that you'll never get in trouble for. And it all comes down to where you live, what your city's like, what your neighbors are like, and what you're comfortable doing. So, like say you lived in Portland, Oregon, you're allowed to have 3 chickens in your yard. You have to register them. If you
have to chip them?
I don't think so. But if you have 5 chickens in your yard, you're probably going to be okay with that. unless you got some really nosy neighbors. So I'm not sure.
Right.
I live right over the border from Portland, Oregon, and I had 17 chickens in my backyard at one point, so on 1/8 of an acre. So yeah, so I don't know. I have a problem with authority from day one. So if there's something that I can do that I know is probably illegal, but not really that illegal, I'm gonna push it as far as I can.
Well, from my understanding is that Konkin said that it doesn't matter how much you do, like anything, you should do whatever you can, and you can do that risk reward thing, and that you can count yourself an agorist even if you just like pay your landscaper off the books or something. Like I thought that was kind of
Craigslist,
Yeah. And there's lots of ways to do that. Of course, the less we have actual physical medium of exchange, the harder that's going to be to do. I think that's maybe the number one reason. I think surveillance for tax reasons, surveillance for information reasons, and control. Like these are the reasons they want to get all transactions to be digital, I think. But you know what I mean? Like I've always thought that if I want to pay my babysitter off the books, that's not a big deal unless there's no cash anymore. And then you have to do it digitally. Yeah. And the better they get at processing information, that you'll not be able to get away with Venmoing somebody. Anything. Every Venmo is going to have a category, a tax classification.
What about barter in those situations?
Yeah, barter.
Barter would come in.
Yeah, barter. But then that gets it more, it's like I can do a little agorism because I can pay somebody off the books, but to give my babysitter a bag of lemons is going to be harder.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's crypto too, but we'll see how long that's going to last for.
Yeah. So. I mean, right. So I've always felt that was a stepping stone towards the cashless society, that was going to be the entree to the digidollar.
I think, I don't know. I have crypto, and full disclosure, I have a bunch of it on the books in a Celsius account, which is like a bank account for crypto where it gains interest. I have other stuff too. I have Monero that's not. And I think that I don't know do you think that the government is going to start issuing their own crypto that's tracked?
I think so. I mean, these guys in the chat are talking about a video somebody sent me, and I have to watch that video immediately. But this morning I was like, I have to watch that video immediately, and I didn't have time. I'm going to do it this evening. But it's like the IMF's plan to kind of migrate everybody into the government digital currency.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that's where they're going. And I actually read in a blog post on the IMF website last year sometime that the intention is to create a digital currency that has an exchange rate with dollars. So the digidollar is worth a greenback in January, but in December, a greenback will only be able to buy 90 cents of a digidollar.
Yeah, so it's just subject to inflation, the dollar inflation, right?
Well, like just in order to eventually, like your greenbacks will be worth nothing. That's what it's for. It's not. It's the exchange rate is what's important about it.
Okay. That's kind of like what they did that in India, right? They told everybody had to go turn all their cash in.
Oh, did they do that already? Because I know in Sweden, I have a friend.
A couple years ago it happened.
In Sweden. And what was crazy is, and I knew I was friends with Germans and Swedish people. So I happen to know, like, they would come over here and they would say, man, you guys with your credit cards and like, you just don't use cash. Like, it's so weird. We don't trust credit cards. They're unsafe, insecure. So I knew there was a real resistance towards credit cards. And so when my friend, I sent her a present, like a check. She was just graduating from college. I sent her some money and she said, I cannot cash the check. And I was like, what? She says, they just won't do cash anymore. It's like the craziest thing. It's a hard time for me even to deposit this check. Like, I don't know the details of it, but it was a problem. And I said, how is your father dealing with that? Like, he only would use cash. He's like, he had to just change. He doesn't like it, but he had to change. And so I think that they've been pushing that down from above for sure. I heard they were doing something like that in India, but I didn't know what. And then I think that it was in one of these, wasn't it in one of the early COVID relief packages to actually introduce Fed kind of digidollar accounts? And it was just like a trial balloon, but it's coming,
Yeah. Well, like we got my wife and I got a $1,200 stimulus card. They didn't send us a check.
Oh,
They sent us an ATM card or like a gift card type deal.
And
so that's
you
all
get
tracked.
that. I think they said that if you sign up, maybe you even get it faster if you like give them your bank account number and let them direct deposit.
Yeah, I think if you have like your bank account on file with the IRS for like your tax return, then it would get put into your account. And if you don't, the first one, the Trump bucks, we got a check. This last one, we got the ATM card.
Did I tell you about the time that it was just last year? I didn't realize this, but at some point we wrote a check. Okay, so this is like the year before, we wrote a check to the IRS for our taxes at the end of the year, and they recorded our account information. And
without your consent?
Yes. And the next year when we filed our taxes, we wrote them a check and sent it to them. And in the meanwhile, they took the money directly out of our bank account and then also cashed that check. So our other checks started bouncing because they took twice as much. And it took us, I think, months to get the money back. And we needed
that to me too. Same thing. They took everything I had years ago. They took all the money I had out of my bank account, which wasn't much, but they took all of it and it was a mistake. They ended up having to give it back. But I went to go use the bank and I was shocked because everything was gone.
Yeah, they do that.
I'm sure they were really concerned about what you guys did in the meantime without any money too, huh?
Yeah, they don't care at all.
Did they have to pay? Did they have to pay a interest penalty like we do if we mess up?
No penalty for them.
Nothing for them, huh?
A fine. So, so do you actually transact in Bitcoin or do you transact in crypto? What crypto do you transact in?
I have, I have the two big ones. I have Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then I have a little bit of Monero too. Bitcoin Bitcoin sucks. It was designed to be a currency, but it's not.
It can't be.
It's got really high transaction rates, and it takes hours sometimes to process. So it's a shitty one to try to spend. But you
own it?
Yeah,
you own some Bitcoin. Why?
Because it
goes up in value.
Yeah. So
why does it go up in value? Do you think?
It's at $55,000 right now.
What do you think?
It was $3,800 in March.
Why do you think it goes up in value? Like if it was $3,800 and now it's $55,000, right? Mm-hmm. So it's up 15 times, let's say roughly. Is that sustainable? What was the difference? Why is the value perceived? Where does the perceived actual quantified value come from in your mind? Like, why do you hold on to it? Momentum?
I mean, I'm holding on to it for the future, but I think in my mind, I'd like to think that it's a hedge against the dollar. So I think,
but that's because it will be used as money or always considered a store of value.
I think for me, it's a store of value.
Right. But that's because of acceptance and scarcity.
Correct. It's not, where I live. I know there's places where it is a lot more accepted, but still it's like,
I just wonder how it's valued. I heard John Snelson say like he thinks it'll stabilize at 200,000 a coin. And I was looking and I did this analysis. I was telling people last night that if all the money in the world, say there's $80 trillion right now, that's just one number that gets thrown around. If that were all converted to gold would be $10,000 an ounce. Mm-hmm. If that were all converted to Bitcoin would be $4 million a coin. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to go to $4 million, right? But Snelson thinks it's going to go to 200,000 unstabilized, but why? Like, how do you put a target on that? I just don't understand how to value it at all.
I don't either. I don't read.
Yeah,
I'm not I'm not a trader. I can't read the charts.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody has an answer to that question. I've never heard anybody answer.
I'm
that
sure
question.
there's some smart guys out there that have their theories and stuff, but yeah,
I'll have to keep going. But you do transact in some crypto?
Just peer to peer, not at like any businesses or anything like that.
Right. And it's not pieces of Bitcoin. It's Ethereum.
Or Monero.
Right.
Monero's a good one to spend.
A transactor.
It's got it's a really low transaction fee and it's fast. So, and then Monero is like what people that don't know about Bitcoin that think Bitcoin is, that's what Monero is. Monero's like the privacy one.
Got it. Okay. So what is on the ground practical agorism for you? So I wanted to know one before we get to that, actually, what made you kind of embrace this?
I haven't been awake for that long. I was a heavy drinker for a long time, and I stopped, and then after a few years I kind of like started waking up to what was going on around the world. And leading up to the 2016 election, I was like a big Bernie guy, and I started seeing all the shenanigans with like the super delegates and all that stuff, and just waking up to what a load of bullshit it was. And I was just like a basic bro kind of guy, and one day I listened to Joe Rogan, which is embarrassing. But
wow,
I heard Dave Smith. Do you know who he is?
Yeah. I've been on his show. How cool is that?
Okay, I've definitely heard it then. So I heard him on Joe Rogan, and he made more sense than anybody I'd ever listened to politically. I was always kind of like a liberal guy, but like leaned right and kind of felt like, everybody needs to take personal responsibility for themselves. And started listening to his podcast, and started going down the road of libertarianism to just kind of trying to figure it out, and learning about anarchy and capitalism and the mix of the two. And like I said, I'm not a huge reader of like that kind of stuff. There's other stuff I read a lot, but I'd rather read about like deep underground military bases and
yes.
Atlantis and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I do too. I find myself reading stuff that satisfies me in those kind of ways, but it's just not forwarding my ability to spread the word or anything. It's just
So I was an anarchist, but I never really felt comfortable calling myself an ANCAP, just because I didn't feel like I could like debate somebody about it and like look good. So I'm good at using my hands. I do construction for a living, and when I started hearing about Konkin and agorism, I read New Libertarian Manifesto, I'd rather, instead of like debate somebody about the non-aggression principle and what it entails, if a meme can be considered aggression, I'd rather go in my backyard and build raised beds for a garden and harvest eggs and stuff like that. So
the Friends Against Government guys, I think they are Timeline Earth now.
Yeah, those guys are good. I listened to the new episode last night. It's pretty funny. Pete was on it.
There's a lot. Oh, Pete was on it?
Yeah, and Pete Quinones is I think Dave Smith brought me to the theories and all this stuff about anarcho-capitalism, and then Pete Quinones got kind of sour on that like a year or two ago, and like started talking a lot more about agorism. So
you are talking about a very natural progression. So like the Dave Smith thing, it's like the red pill of libertarianism. Then PQ is a little more intense. So I used to tell people, oh, listen, they're like, what's a good libertarian podcast for a newbie? I was like, oh, PQ. And people are like, he's a little harsh. He's a little harsh, a little scary. I'm like, oh, really? Like,
for a guy, he's
not
a
scared.
good guy for someone like me though. That already
Yeah,
has,
me
like,
too.
A little
Me
bit
too.
of an edge. So
I don't even hear it, you know. But and then the Timeline Earth guys, it's like all inside jokes. So like you got to really you got to work your way into that. But I heard them say once that the non-aggression principle is bullshit. And I was like,
I don't really agree with it
like,
anymore. Anyway,
I was like, wow, you're right. Because
people that wear masks in public deserve to be beaten.
No, that's not why.
Scolded at least.
Well, I mean, because you have to keep redefining aggression. Because so what are the people? So you have to define aggression as if the government is not obeying the Constitution.
Yeah.
You need to overthrow it. And then you're just saying all government is aggression, which it is. I totally think so. But then the nap is always pregnant with revolution, which is definitely what all coercive monopoly governments are. But then is it really meaningful?
Yeah.
I mean, I like it too, as far as it goes. It's kind of like Newtonian physics. You know, it totally works most of the time, but
the challenge with the non-aggression principle is that the governments exploit it. They do these provocations to where they bird dog, they stick their face in other people's faces and they poke them until the other country punches first. And then they say, well, they hit us first, so we got to go to war with them, when the plan was to go to war with them all along.
Yeah, that's the old Antifa trick.
do you have the right mic there turned on, Binkley? It's a little hard to understand what you're saying.
I do. Can you not hear me?
I can hear it, but it's like choppy. It's all right. That's fine. I just didn't. I was just thinking if you could double check, but if it is, it is. So okay. I wanted to. Okay, so that's how you kind of moved into that direction ideologically, but you had to start taking action. Like, what would your first kind of? How would you define the first thing you did that you thought this is agorism in action, or was it only after the fact? Like, okay, I paid my landscaper and cashed it.
I'm the landscaper, so I guess I moved into my house, and the backyard was an overgrown mess, and I just I started chopping down gigantic 30-foot tall laurel trees in my backyard. I didn't ask if it was okay. I built a roof over my deck. That's not right. That's not right. I guess
great.
When I did that kind of stuff, I wasn't really thinking about it as a revolutionary act or as an agorism. It was just something that needed to be done that I didn't think I needed to disclose to the government. But I think I really started paying attention to it when we started producing food in the backyard. And last summer I finally got the backyard into a good enough spot and built we had an amazing garden. We got to figure out how to stagger it so that we have enough so we can have food for the whole year, because we had like all the food produced at once and we didn't take the proper precautions to have food for the rest of the year from what we grew in the summer. But we had we were eating like 3 enormous salads a day just because we had so much. And and then just getting chickens and harvesting their eggs, selling the overflow for cash. And then I think the most recent thing that I did when I really paid attention to it was I went out and I got 10 meat chickens, which is like, I don't think in any way legal to do in my backyard. I 2 weekends ago I butchered them, and
was that
right in the backyard, and processed them on my deck.
I mean, how natural was that for you to do?
The first one was a little weird, and it's a little bit scary how easy it was by the 10th one.
Wow. Well, did it feel like you might cut your fingers off? Was it at all intimidating mechanically?
I'm pretty handy. So
you're pretty handy. Okay.
Yeah.
How about rabbits? Are you ready to kill rabbits?
I want to. I don't know if my backyard will sustain it. I thought about it. Like they'll be definitely harder to dispatch a rabbit than a chicken for me. But I can do
Yes.
it. I can do it if I have the proper area. And like if you can mix rabbits with your chickens, like if you can have rabbit cages above the dirt in your chicken coop, like because chickens don't pee, they just shit. And then
Really? I
Adam,
didn't
we
know
put
that.
a oh cool, somebody lives near me. Yeah, so like I watched all his Joel Salatin videos where he mixes, like he has rabbits above the dirt in the chicken coop, and then the rabbits pee down, and then the chickens like mix it up, and something to do with the chemicals in the urine, and it makes the dirt like way better, and then you can move that dirt into your garden and do all that, and it's just a big circle.
Chickens don't pee?
No.
It's in their poop. They have like wet.
Yeah,
poop.
that's all they got.
It's interesting.
Yeah, we ferment their feed, so they take more. It's more solid. So
you basically you can use their poop is not like too acidic or anything. It can go right into the soil that you use to grow stuff.
yeah, chicken manure is like really, really good for growing stuff. So we went out and got a bunch of wood chips, filled up the chicken coop, before it started raining hard here in the fall. And hopefully by springtime, we'll be able to go back there with shovels and a wheelbarrow and dig up all that dirt that they've been pooping in and scratching at for 6 months, and we'll turn that into the dirt that we'll plant our garden with in the spring.
What do you put in your garden?
Last year we had like 12 different kinds of greens. We had cucumbers, we had cabbage, we had peas. I think this year we're going to do we're going to plant blueberry bushes. Yeah, whatever. I just go ahead.
What do you think of of the food that is there any food you absolutely need to have that you feel you cannot? How much land do you have? Half an acre, 10 acres?
I got an eighth of an acre. I got a normal
You have
backyard.
an acre. That's like a city.
It's a pretty good sized backyard for like I came from the Bay Area. It'd be a really awesome backyard if I lived in Oakland or San Francisco. But here it's one of the bigger ones on the block, but it's a normal backyard.
So you live close to other people as well.
Yeah, I'm surrounded.
So you really have to choose where you live.
Depending on
how much.
Right. Yeah, my town's called Milwaukee, Oregon. It's right across the border from Portland. It's just kind of like an extension of Southeast Portland, but it's changing a little bit. I've been here for a couple of years, but it's traditionally just like a working class neighborhood or suburb, kind of urban or suburban, more rural suburb, but it's in a different county than Portland, so that makes a big difference as well for tax reasons and stuff like that. And then just people here are pretty much, I think, mind their own business. Our neighbors have chickens. Our other neighbors on the other side don't care. And then, we got fences.
How about
I was always worried about the homeowners association stuff. So you guys don't have any obstacles that? No
way.
Yeah, great.
I'll never do that.
How about the local gun laws?
Oregon, as if you want to I'm a member of the NRA. I have to be because I belong to a gun club that requires it. I'm not excited about it.
How about the Gun Owners of America? They don't accept that?
No, you have to be an NRA member.
Wow, that is really interesting.
Yeah. But they do their like grades for every state every year, and Oregon's usually like a B. It's better than I came from California where you're not allowed to have anything, and up here there's no waiting period. It's not constitutional carry, but it's super easy to get a concealed carry license.
Go ahead, keep going, please.
Right now, if you go, everybody's doing it. So if you go now, it takes a couple months to get an appointment. You have to take a 4-hour class. It's a Saturday. It's super easy. Shouldn't have to do it, but you do. And then you have to make an appointment with the sheriff's department And you can do it in whatever county you want. It doesn't have to be the county that you live in. I live in a place called Clackamas County. It's like easier to do than Multnomah County, which is where Portland is. But you have to wait like 3 or 4 months now because they're so backed up to get an appointment to actually just go in and get the card.
In Portland itself, when all this stuff was happening, I got the feeling that people were not empowered to defend their own property. Did I get that wrong? Like, I felt like in Portland that things couldn't have gotten that wild if people felt like they needed to defend the four corners of their business or their home. Or is that why all the stuff was happening on public property?
I don't think there's like really strong castle laws here. I think you'd probably
okay.
Your life would be pretty fucked up if you
got it. Yeah.
Did
Took
that. But I mean, when people like if that happened, if a lot of the stuff that was allowed to go on in Portland kind of came out to the suburbs here, I think it'd be a whole different outcome. There's a lot of I think a lot of gun ownership out here by where I live. There's a lot of diesel trucks and but yeah, I think the people that had their houses that were like confronted at their houses and stuff are kind of like the people that would also condone that behavior. So, you kind of get reap what you sow,
right?
In that respect.
That's what I was thinking. But to get back to what you produced yourself, if you've got, I got turned on to this ancestral eating chick, Nora Gedgaudas from Fireside Chats. I bet that's something that you like too. Fireside Chats.
I love THC. I pay for their
Me too.
Prime or
I love
whatever.
it.
Yeah.
So her thing, it's basically like pasture raised animals, a lot of organ meat, vegetables, spices, coconut milk, healthy fats, all that stuff. There's like
is it paleo or is it keto?
It's not quite paleo, she says, because for her, it's basically if you were to make a macronutrient chart, it would be 50 for me, 50 carbs a day, 50 grams of protein a day, only 50 grams of protein a day. And then the rest is the healthy fat. So that might be keto. And then she also emphasizes kind of the micronutrients that you get from the foods that you choose wisely, which she really loves organ meats and very richly colored vegetables, stuff like that. So it's actually pretty simple. And because now I don't eat cereal grains at all, I don't eat processed food at all, I don't eat dairy at all, or almost at all, but I eat a lot of nuts. But I'm just saying that eliminates almost all of the processed foods that I used to buy at the store. And I'm just wondering if with just the little that you could do with your piece of land or slightly larger, maybe that amount for however many people, what do you feel like you have to buy from a store nutritionally?
Well, we bought half a cow from a local rancher. So that's not really the store, but I got 2.
Yeah, that's definitely a different, it's not the store for sure. It's not your backyard, but depends on how big your backyard is.
We eat cheese and dairy and I get half and half for the coffee and stuff like that. Coffee. We're definitely not fully self-sufficient. We could be.
Yeah, but you could be. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Like what I have in the garage and what I can grow in my yard, I could be. Yeah. And between chickens, I eat a ton of eggs. Like I eat eggs,
the
a couple
more
times a day.
Like you learn about this nutrition. So what she does, she has you make bone broth, but you put chicken's feet in it, and it's like gelatin, but it is so good for your joints. Like I used to take Osteoflex and stuff, and I don't have to take it anymore at all. Like I had read that about that's what you give a dog with arthritis. I was like, well, if it's good enough for my dog, and I have had no problems since.
I should look into how to do that because I got a Ziploc bag in the freezer full of 20 chicken feet. So,
dude, I love chicken feet. I go to Whole Foods, the only place you can get them. I bring them home. My kids are just like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, chicken feet is like, "Are we supposed to eat that?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna boil it until it's liquid."
You do it? You drink it? You've done it,
I drink it. Oh yeah, I do it all the time. It's fantastic. It's so easy.
How is it? What's the process?
All you do is you take chicken. She always says it has to be organic, whatever. Take your chicken carcass, put it in a big pot with a dozen chicken's feet, and
Okay.
then like 2 lemons cut in half, and just some herbs and spices that you want. A little bit of, she likes some kind of natural salt, I don't know. And then you boil it for 6 hours on really, really low.
Okay.
And then you strain it. And I stupidly peeled the fat off the top. She would not approve of that. She loves chicken fat.
Yeah.
So I stupidly did that. And then I just put it in 2 extra, extra large mason jars, not all the way filled up. One I put in the freezer and the other I put in the fridge, and I eat it for breakfast.
You just drink it?
I drink it. And she also has like this primal chili recipe that's like
wow.
grass-fed beef and like a couple of cans of organic tomatoes, basically. And you put some of that broth in, you cook it up. And then, so I have this big thing of chili. So literally in the morning, I have a cup and a half of the broth and a scoop of the chili in it. And I cut up like some kale. My kids really can't even have breakfast with me anymore because it's so crazy for them.
Yeah.
But I love, it tasted a little earthy at first, I'm going to tell you honestly. But now I love it because I just feel like, Popeye. I eat, I'm just like, I'm going to whatever, go exercise for an hour.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's also, part of it is that her diet is completely anti-inflammatory, I guess. So things that were making things worse aren't there at all. And then, so who knows, when you do something all at once, you can't be 100% sure, but I love that broth. It's like chicken jello. It is the grossest looking thing you've ever seen in your life. But it's like the junkie falls in love with the needle. I'm into it. I'm like, oh, look at how solid it is.
Have your kids tried it?
They would not like it. It really does. I think it's because the lemons, you boil lemons for 6 hours, it got a tangy aftertaste. But when you put it in the microwave, it's liquid again. So it doesn't look weird or anything. And if I turned it into chicken noodle soup, they would like it. And they wouldn't know that it used to be Jell-O. And that's what I should do.
Yeah, I gotta do that. It's
great. I'll take a picture of the recipe and I'll send it to you.
Okay, I'd love that.
If that wouldn't violate her sense of personal property.
That's so awesome that you got Ice Age Farmer on too. He's really good. I'd heard him on Higher Side Chats also, and then I heard you guys get him.
Yeah, people recommended him to me. I try not to rip off THC.
He knows the stuff. Yeah,
I think he's totally slammed probably right now. I reached out to him but didn't hear back. So
you see, it took me a long time to hear back, and I had to actually what I did was Greg Carlwood of THC had put out the word that he was willing to be a guest. So whenever people will alert me to that, so I got Greg on the show, and then I have to admit I sent that show to Ice Age Farmer, and that's when he answered.
Maybe I'll send him. Maybe he's very busy. This show.
Do you think he's right? Oh, that's a great idea. Do you think he's right about the solar minimum stuff? Because he was saying it's hard to judge when it's happening, when it's really going to happen, and and he also thinks that part of what the powers that be are doing is a reflection of their knowledge of that, which I almost feel like it's attributing to them some kind of sense of wanting to preserve the earth, or at least our functioning in it. And I just don't even think that they're that rational or orderly, good in their motives.
So he's saying that the grand solar minimum is going to lower temperatures in the upcoming years, correct?
Yeah. He says that there's a grand solar, every 100 years or whatever, it goes up and down based on solar activity, totally overwhelms anything we could do on Earth.
Okay.
And so they expect food production on Earth to take a nosedive at some point, very varied what the time frame is, but they are waiting for that, and that they feel like converting everybody to vegetables and bugs.
Yeah, that's why we're going to be eating cockroaches and fake meat and stuff like that, like lab grown meat and all that stuff. I mean,
Bill Gates has been promoting.
Yeah, it seems like they've been pushing it pretty hard. I don't know what the deal is with it, with the grand solar minimum, but yeah.
But you don't notice. I was just wondering, since you do try to work outside, and I don't know, how many years have you been doing? When was your first garden? 20 years ago or 5 years ago? Okay,
last summer.
All right, so you don't have experience.
We moved to Oregon in the summer of 18. Before that, I lived in studios and 1 bedrooms in Oakland and San Francisco. So
Do you? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, because I always like cop out and say I'm a city girl, but
So there is hope then, is what you're saying.
Monica, I hear what you say. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. I can't do it. I don't buy it. You can totally do it.
All right. I guess that's done. That's
Do you have a backyard in LA?
I do. I rent, but it is a house with a backyard, and it does have a little plot that my husband likes to grow peppers so hot that you can't get them in California, which nobody else will eat. So I think I might have to see. That's something I wanted to ask you. Is your wife fully on board with this? Like, do you have to? I mean, it's one thing.
I turned her. Yeah.
How'd you turn her? How?
Jimmy Dore.
Really?
Yeah. She was, she's apolitical. She's a good deal younger than me. She's 8 years younger. I'm 41. So she's kind of from a different generation. I was like kind of like the last kids that grew up in the 80s, where I was just kind of like let to go be a boy,
latchkey
kid.
Yes.
Yeah, I was. I used to stick my hand in the mail slot and unlock the door. That's how I got in.
Like cliche.
Yeah. But so she went to one of the Claremont colleges down by you, and it was just a typical liberal arts school, apolitical liberal, and I took her to see Jimmy Dore at a local theater up here, and she left just so confused. She's like, that guy is a liberal, but he hates Barack Obama, and was just like couldn't believe it. And
that's the moment.
I went to a Freedom Cells meetup in the park last summer, and that was the first one I went to. It was really weird and way out of my comfort zone, and she tagged along with me just because she was, I don't know, confused. And she's made some really good girlfriends in that whole group. And she always gets mad at me because when I've been on a few different podcasts talking about chickens, and for the egg chickens, she's done way over 50% of the stuff. I built the run and and did all the heavy lifting, but she has done all the research, went and got the little baby chicks. She's been home, she got her workload cut way down. And so she is a wealth of knowledge on backyard chickens now. So she's the one that figured out how to ferment food, and she's always coming up, like going on forums and figuring out the next cool thing to do. Some work, some don't. So, and then
what forums does she go to? Do you know?
I think just there's these like weird backyard chicken ones.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me go. I'll yell at her real quick.
We have a lot of good comments.
Yeah, there's a few questions in there I noticed also.
I know. So and some of the stuff was right there, in real time, but I think we can go back. I want to finish this.
Yeah, she said she just goes on backyardchickens.com.
Oh, great.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So I was noticing that, like, for me, my greatest, hi, who you got there?
That's my wife, Emily.
But she's got
she's a chicken tender.
But she doesn't have a chicken. She's a chicken tender.
Yeah.
I think this Zoom stuff is starting to disorient me, because when I saw her walking behind you, my instinct was to go, who's behind me?
We're two virtual world. So she's got that is a pet, she has a little pet in her hands.
Yeah, that's little Tweety, the Chihuahua.
Nice. Can he be like like the herding dog, like get the chickens where he wants them to be? Hello.
Yeah,
hey Tweety.
Right there. Yeah.
You can't hear me.
He goes out in the backyard. Sometimes we let him free range around, but sometimes they like attack him.
Oh.
Like they gang up on him.
Oh my gosh, poor little
but he fights back. But
oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing, that what you're saying about Emily's experience, my first idea of like, what can I do in the gray market is, for me, I'm like, just do more stuff for yourself. Like this idea of women working and then having somebody else take care of their kids. is the ultimate in kind of, you know, anti-agorism, in that it not only makes every transaction, the woman's work, and I'm not like women's work, I mean the human being who is working all of a sudden plugs that into the system and brings somebody home plugged into the system to do something she could have done herself. And also it undermines being able to pass your cultural values on to the next generation. So now with this COVID thing, it's been a year, just about, here in LA, where the kids have not gone to school, my husband hasn't gone to work, and my babysitter won't come over anymore. And we can't afford her now anyway, because my husband's industry was just wiped out.
Yeah, we're keep going, Monica. Sorry.
Yeah, and then just the answer is, so I have noticed, like with all of us, I'm like, hey man, now all my kids know how to do their own laundry. They do the dishes. Like people cook dinner once a week. And I mean, even my son with the Down syndrome, although it is terrifying, he will make his own breakfast. And I'm just like, don't put a fork in the microwave, you know, like what, whatever. So there's little challenges there, but I just try to do more stuff myself, like stop outsourcing and stop thinking that specialization of labor is the only way, or that if you're highly educated, you shouldn't do things with your hand. I mean, I noticed as soon as I got married that oh my gosh, and I was even working, but like after I had kids and stuff, I'm keeping the cave clean and that guy's dragging home some antelope. I don't care how you want to push it, but that's what we're doing. And there's no shame in that. And then I read Kaczynski and I was just like, oh my gosh, like that is my destiny.
They tricked all these women into thinking that was a shameful thing to do, you know? And
totally.
They got them into the workforce and doubled the tax base, you know?
And the workforce is so soulless most of the time. I mean, you get your job gets distilled down to where it is perforce meaningless, and there's so much more meaning in cooking the dinner. And why not? It's creative, and you're educating your kids the whole time. There's nothing more edifying yourself than to express, articulate, have to formulate ideas about what you've known. But anyway.
Yeah,
so
we're trying to start a family,
cool.
and we're trying to start a family right now. And we talked about it. You know, at first I was like, I'd really like for you to stay home, and you know, she didn't want to do that at first. And then the more we talk about it, it's probably going to happen. It's like hard and terrifying to think about because we have like 1.5 incomes right now, and it's still like a struggle, but you know, we can make it work, and people do it with way less than what we have with way more kids. So,
and did you want her to stay home to homeschool? Is that the goal?
Yep. And she wasn't on board with that when I first started talking about it, and now she's all for it. So
are you going to help a lot?
I have 3-day weekends every week, so I'd be willing to do, you know, everything during that time. I work around the house mostly during the weekends anyway. But we like I said, I do freedom cells. We've got like a lot of people in the area that are just like us who have little kids, and they've actually started up a little school, so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, what's a freedom cell? Exactly.
So freedomcells.org is a website started by John Bush and Derek Bros. And it's kind of like, you can go on there. It's kind of like a clunky version of Facebook. It's like a social media type deal, but you like enter, you know, where you are, your name, you don't have to use your real names or anything like that. And people that have registered also around in your area pop up. And then, you know, it's up to you from there to organize. And, you know, I heard John Bush on Free Man Beyond the Wall last summer. I was out walking the dogs. He talked about it. I went home, I registered for it, and got a DM from this girl later, you know, right afterwards saying, oh, we're having a meetup in the park. Yeah, I went. It was really weird.
Really?
And it wasn't weird when I got there, but it was just weird to go do that. My wife went with me. It was just like, it was really nice, you know, 30-year-old girl with her brand new baby at the park sitting on a blanket. And she's like a natural, her name's Mackenzie. She's like a natural organizer. And, you know, she came from like kind of the hippie-ish anarchy, like festival world, you know, which is way different than me. I was like a punk rocker when I was growing up. So, but a lot of the same values. So she'd kind of like created this little meetup out of like Freedom Cells, the actual meetup app, and the Nextdoor app. So, are you familiar with Nextdoor?
Yeah.
It's
You guys
really,
been using that to connect?
most of the people that found it from Nextdoor kind of faded away. So
Yeah, I was wondering. I was gonna.
it was a lot of just like kind of whiny middle-aged ladies who
Yeah,
were,
the
like,
Nextdoor app.
who were complaining about wearing masks, and then
Yeah,
like once we
it's-
started
Oh.
talking about like anarchy and stuff, they kind of stopped coming to the meetups.
In my town, Nextdoor app is complaining about people not wearing masks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes both ways. Any way that anything that you can complain about is on Nextdoor.
So would this be a place for you? One thing I was thinking about, like a good way to do agorism is not just trading your produce, but trading some labor. Is the Freedom Cell a kind of way for you to connect with people who might want to engage in that kind of thing? Or is it really just to have buddies who are like-minded?
Both, and it's like people. It's big. Like they're like in Atlanta because of Pete Quinones. It's big in Georgia. It's big in Texas, and people have like what they do is they have like work days where like everybody comes to your house and bangs out a whole bunch of stuff in a day.
Wow.
And it doesn't, you know, you don't charge for it. You just go over to their house when it's their turn. You know,
Like a barn raising.
Yep. And yeah, like the whole idea, it comes from Konkin. Have you ever heard of the book called Alongside Night?
Oh, I don't
There's
know.
this guy, J. Knight Schulman was his name, and he was like Konkin's protege, and he wrote this like adventure, this agorism adventure book called Alongside Night, and it's about like a tyrannical government taking over, and then a agorist society like emerging from it. But oh shit, I forgot. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Well, it's getting big, and like in Texas, and they have barn raisings.
Yeah. So but in that book they talk about like you have like a inner cadre, which is like 8 people, and then like an outer cadre. There's like, and then you have like 8 groups of 8 people like from around the area. And you know, we had our first annual Sasquatch Freedom Festival, which is this right here. And it's just some like it's like, you know, we have like Telegram chat groups, and we have like a whole like area from the top of California all the way up to Washington, which is like the big Cascadia bioregional freedom cell. And some guy offered up his land up in the Puget Sound, and we went up there for a weekend in November.
Whoa.
And just hung out around the campfire.
Was it fun? Were people just dishing and doing their thing and chilling?
Yeah, it was awesome. You know,
there was no work.
There was what?
No work. They weren't there to work.
No work. Just there. You know, people
That's
were.
So great.
You know, it's fun. It was the first one, and then being outside in November in the Pacific Northwest isn't the best, but we're gonna do another one in I think May, which is when it's like really, really nice up here. And yeah, so it's big. You guys should check it out. I doubt it's very big where you are, Monica.
Really?
Because,
but it's such a big place.
Yeah, so check it out.
Well, maybe I reach out a little bit. Like I go to the desert near Joshua Tree sometimes. Yeah. So maybe out there. I don't know. I definitely am going to check it out though, because this place is maddening.
Yeah, check it out, Brad. I know it's big in your area.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
But
so, I would like to keep picking your brain, but what I really, if you can hang on a little bit longer, I think it would be nice to put up. I didn't want to interrupt the flow by putting up the comments, so some of these are going to go backwards, but there's a lot of good comments. So, I'm going to whip through some while I'm looking. We do need to get Monica out of California, and do you watch TV?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a lot.
So some people are really like against the whole. I mean, I think that in itself would be a great blow for freedom. This I've heard before, that the Freedom Cell site is clunky, So you're gonna want to just use it for meetups and stuff.
Yeah,
but
you just
it's
like
good enough,
I
right?
haven't checked in on there in months. I don't even remember my
Right. It was just an entree.
it was just like it got me in there, and then like you like friend people and stuff, but it's not like a way to communicate with people. But you can go on there, I think, and like look anywhere in the world where there's people. It's worldwide, and like say you're going on a trip or something, you could find people that way maybe.
So is this true? Do you believe that it says outside of Portland and Eugene, Oregon is one of the reddest states in the U.S.? Lots of free thinkers stay out of Portland and don't watch TV. Does that sound right to you, Adam?
Yeah. That's why it was pretty frustrating, and I don't like it when people conflate Portland with Oregon. It's not the same,
Right.
It's like a lot of probably statist Republicans as well, but I think there's a ton of people that just want to be left alone, and it sucks because it is so beautiful here. I love it. Like it was
California
just raining.
too.
Yeah,
California. We're for the big cities. Like, I mean, you ever go to San Luis Obispo and Bakersfield?
I've been, yeah, and
nice.
I used to be a wildland firefighter for a long
Oh,
time,
wow.
so I know like Northern California, Northern California. I know really really well, and I actually went to college up at the top of California. So
we have to talk about fires in some other show. Red pill me about fires.
Yeah, that's one. I have I don't know about direct energy weapons, but
no, I don't think that. I just think it's imposed droughts.
Yeah.
And they light the whole place on fire for various reasons. Okay, Laura actually headed up for a meetup with Sam Tripoli, who I think is responsible for the three of us knowing each other. She says, how does she find more like-minded future tunnel people? Like, that's my thing. We're all going to be living in the tunnels. But I really feel like we should be the Outlanders because we're going to need some land. She's in the Freedom Cell, but with Bill, which is in Smyrna. So maybe you need to, Laura, we will hook you up with Pete Q, and that'll be a more robust Freedom Cell to be a part of, I think, right in that Atlanta area.
Yeah, and like anything that you can do where people are operating outside of society, I think like a good place for recruitment would be like Bitcoin meetups or yard sales, anything like that. I mean, you don't need to recruit people. It should happen pretty organically, but if you get the word out, people will show up. There's like 40 people that go to our meetups now, and it started with 6 people sitting on a blanket in a park.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see like these people come and like haven't been out of the house or hung out with people. They've been out of the house, but they haven't. A lot of them are from Portland proper, and that's where the meetup is. And these people haven't hung out with people in a social setting for like a year. And you'd be so surprised how many just pissed off like soccer moms there are right now.
Wow, that's great. Boy, I thought that's what I was going to experience here. So I just led the way and just like, this is all bullshit. Am I right? And they're like, oh my God, are you she's one of them. She's one of them. It's like, I'm like, okay, I'm not, maybe I'm one of them, but they're the pod people. Stella, who is in Australia, she plugs into us it's like 7 a.m. for her, maybe 8 by now. Do you ever use diatomaceous earth either internally or in the garden?
Stella, we use diatomaceous earth in the chicken coop to keep the humidity down.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and it like kind of soaks up the moisture. So
it's interesting.
I've never used it in the garden though.
That Stella should bring up the marrow inside the bone. So one of the breakfasts, this chick's breakfasts are crazy. One of her breakfasts is bones, beef bones, cow bones, cut lengthwise, cut in half, and you cook them in the oven and the marrow.
You scrape it out. Yeah.
Yes, I accidentally totally undercooked it, so I literally ate it raw. It was so freaking delicious.
Yeah,
you would not
that's a big money item on the appetizer menu at like high-end restaurants in San Francisco.
Yes, yes. And if you're buying a cow, do you get the bones?
Yeah.
And can you personally, with your equipment, saw a bone in half? Because I can't.
Probably figure it out. I have a Sawzall, so I don't know. I haven't tried yet. We ate the beef heart last weekend. I made little tacos.
Oh, yeah. Antichuco,
so
I think they call that. I had it first in Peru, and it's one of the recipes in her books. But
I found like some Peruvian recipe with chimichurri sauce, and I like did it, and I like didn't cut it right, so I was just like, oh, maybe I'll just dice it up, and then we had tortillas, and we ate it that way. It was super good.
You had heart tortillas. Did you? You should. I hope it was on Valentine's Day.
It might have been. I didn't even think about that.
So dick and shit is excellent for gardens. Apparently, is bunny shit, because I've been putting my fish water and my bunny poop in the dirt that we're going to start a garden in, and I'm a little worried that
I think it's good. Probably.
That wasn't sound. Sound of my husband was like, "Are you sure?" And then I started putting coffee grounds in. And he's like, "I don't think you're just supposed to throw all your shit in there." It's like, I think you are.
Yeah.
I think you are supposed to throw all your shit in there, but not dog shit, right?
No, not dog shit.
Okay. Why? Because it has meat in it. I think.
It doesn't break down.
Ugh,
for some reason.
Probably because there's no like vegetables in or anything. Okay. So Stella thinks we should get a food dehydrator. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, they're
because
awesome.
Then you can save the product of your labor.
Yeah. I make I take all the London broils I got and I made beef jerky. And from the Freedom Cell group, I decided that like on the off weeks when we don't have our meetups, I would start kind of like an underground Agora farmers market. So I had people over to the house and people brought stuff.
Yes. So this was at your house. You had and you don't have a lot of land. It's not like you could set up tents.
No, and it's like rainy out during the winter here.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody was inside. So we had like 30 people at the last one inside the house. I think it got a little too big, so we found another spot for the next one. So
what did they do? They brought sacks of things they made?
Yeah, I told people, bring stuff that you want. Don't make it a garage sale. Bring something that you made. One guy brought books, which was really awesome because he's like a deep conspiracy theorist like I am. So that was like the coolest part for me. But people brought, herbs and sweetgrass and, people that have kids made cookies and muffins just to have something to bring.
Did anyone make a pot holder, like stuff they make like that? Or was it? Really
this one lady makes like those like cases for cell phones that don't let it like the silver Faraday cases, Yeah, like a Faraday case. Right. So and then
I've got my Faraday material handy. Sorry.
What kind of things can you do with a food dehydrator? Like beef jerky, what else?
You can make like fruit leathers.
Oh, yeah.
You can that's all we've done. We've dried out pears, and my friend lives in Puerto Rico 6 months a year for tax reasons. And
really?
Yeah, when he left, he let me borrow his food dehydrator and his vacuum sealer. So and he gave me his beef jerky recipe. But I don't know. What else can you?
My husband's Puerto Rican. Maybe I should.
You should
maybe there's some value in that, inherent value in the.
You don't have to pay taxes.
Fuck, I'm totally doing that. It's probably nice there too, right?
Yeah.
But they always think I'm a self-hating Puerto Rican because I don't speak Spanish, because I'm not Puerto Rican. I just. With a name like Monica Perez, I think they expect me to speak. Okay. Yes, it's kind of annoying. What is a hoop house?
A hoop house is like a greenhouse that you make out of either PVC. You build like just a wood frame, then put like PVC pipes over it or use cattle panels. That's what I did for mine. Okay. It's like a wind tunnel or a high tunnel. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
So like I have one in the backyard, and I wanted to turn it into a greenhouse, and I didn't get it covered in time for the winter, so we didn't get seed starts in there, but hopefully next year we'll get it going.
Okay. All right, so no more bunny shit. Got it. Pate. I love pate. The stores here weren't selling liver, so they were saying, so I read this book and she's like, you have to have liver. Liver, you live forever, you will never get sick. So I went to the store, started to find liver, like, because of COVID, we don't have liver anymore. I'm like, okay, so your animals are born without livers? Like, why, if you have chicken meat, why don't you have the liver? So I started getting creative and buying like liverwurst and pate and that kind of thing. And I don't know.
Yeah, I've got a bag full of livers and hearts and the chicken livers in the freezer.
Yeah, it's freaking my family out. Like my family.
I like sweetbreads. Is that what they call them?
Yeah, pancreas.
I like it. I think
I like
my
it
mom
too.
my mom didn't make me
Tongue?
eat that stuff when I was little, so I think that's why I'm like open to eating it now. 'Cause I
She
didn't get
made you eat it?
No, because
Didn't let you eat it.
I didn't get grossed out by it when I was little.
My
Yeah.
father was a meat cutter. So
Oh,
he
wow.
would only like the stuff that people wouldn't eat, we would eat. You know,
Yeah.
it was kind of like the scraps. And he literally would bring home scrapple tongue, like a whole beef tongue.
Yeah,
And it looks like a tongue.
it's
I'm sure you've
scary
had
when you
one.
see it.
And
I've
he
had
just sliced
like
it up.
I've had lengua tacos. I've never eaten
Yeah.
it in any other form than that. But
Yeah,
I remember seeing it at the butcher shop when I was little, and it has like
Yeah.
the taste buds on it.
It
and
has taste
stuff.
buds
Oh my
on it.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good with mustard. But I
Yeah.
love that stuff. Like I'll just
Yeah.
like cook up some liver for breakfast, and my
Yeah.
kids, they're literally won't eat anything but like grilled cheeses. So there's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I think that's a challenge that a lot of people who want to get into this have to overcome, is the way that some of the stuff looks and the things that you have to do with it, with the chickens and the rabbits that we've just never done before. We didn't learn growing up.
yeah. It's definitely totally different. I don't know. It's cool that like those Cornish cross meat birds, like they don't have personalities like the egg birds do. Like they just want to eat and drink water. They drink like 10 of them drank like 5 gallons of water a day.
Wow.
Like a whole bucket. But they definitely, like if I raise them in my backyard, they're definitely having a better life than they would at like the Foster's Farms, you
Yeah.
know, room where they can't move. And they taste, it's different. It's a different taste. It's like you said, it's like earthier. Like the breast is like dark meat. It's pretty cool. Like I like darker meat anyway. So
I know they convinced us to eat white meat chicken, but dark meat is better for you and it tastes better.
Yeah, it's way better. So
I was reading about swine flu, like just the whole BS and all the pandemics and all the crap that they fed us on the swine flu thing, and it came from chickens, and it's all about not eating meat anymore. And it went through like how chickens are raised, and that like festering wounds and burns on the skin and all that stuff from the lights too close, and how, and they live in their own feces, they can't move. And that's why they get sick.
yeah.
It's not some virus that it's just, so I have no question about bacteria, parasites, funguses, tapeworms, like you see them, you see how they behave. They hit certain organs, they behave in the same way, they get treated in the same way. This whole nebulous virus thing where you get a virus, it hurts your lungs, sometimes it hurts your head, it makes you sick to your stomach, can last a year, can not happen at all. You know, you need a vaccine for it. I'm ending with just giving up on all of that. It seems like complete nonsense to me. But the swine flu thing, when I was investigating it, not only reinforced that, but it unfolded for me how not just unsanitary, but inhumane it is. And that's another one of this Nora chick's things. She's just like, it's not healthy to not eat meat, but it is not moral to do what we do with these animals being mass produced like that. And she's completely against corn finished beef, by the way.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure your guys grass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those big, it's like Highland beef. So it's those big hairy cows.
Oh,
the ones
fun.
that look like golden retrievers.
Do you get to meet your cow before they slaughter it?
You can. We didn't go do it, but you can.
I know it's not like that. So they, John asks, are there liver supplements? There are, and she recommends specifically. So if you want to tweet at me or email me or whatever, I can tell you what she recommends specifically, as they will powder the liver and put it in capsules, and you can eat it that way. She also suggests that you can liquefy it in it makes me want to vomit. Liquefy it in like a blender and pour it in beef stew or in that chili. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Ew. How do your chickens, do they eat all sorts of gross stuff?
They eat fermented feed. And then they eat, whatever we throw back there. All the we feed we keep our eggshells, bake them, crush them up and feed those back to them.
Really?
Yeah, they eat mealworms. They love mealworms. So I've noticed that they took a little bit of time off a couple of them took some time off during the real cold part of last month. and weren't laying a lot of eggs. Now they're back. I think I don't know if there's any scientific evidence for it, but I've seen that when I feed them a lot of mealworms and ferment their food, their egg production's higher. So for me.
Do you use a lot of or any chemicals in treating your vegetables or your animals, to keep pests away or anything like that? Can you really do this organically?
Yeah, you can.
Wow, really?
On a small scale, I think it's pretty easy, but you do get some bug kill and stuff like that. We got a bunch of ladybugs. We bought ladybugs and put them in the beds, and they take care of a lot of the aphids. But a lot of times, just the little aphids will get like the bottom leaves on the lettuce and stuff like that. But yeah, you can do it. I mean, I can understand how at like a really big level it'd be really hard to do, but
well, it would have to be self-sustaining, like my dumb fish tank, which took me forever to figure out. But I've got it figured out now. And if I put a few more plants in it, I won't even really need to empty the water so much. But you get things that eat the other things. And I don't know about at scale, but I have watched some of these documentaries and stuff where they say that there is an ecology to it. And I guess maybe that's when you have to take the next leap would be a kind of permaculture thing where you have, it's basically, I mean, hard work to get you there, but then it becomes a kind of Garden of Eden thing and your labor is way, way less. And maybe you can spend a little more time nurturing an individual thing or bringing up something that keeps the other thing down. It can get more complex if it's enduring, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some friends that that actually live in Portland that turn their whole backyard into like a huge permaculture paradise that actually is functioning and works. So
yeah,
that's our next step.
Pete Q turned us on to Bellamy Fitzpatrick, who has a place in upstate New York where he's building like a little Garden of Eden permaculture. And I went and visited it. And it was so small, but beautiful. And what they were doing was so understandable. The food was like really tasty. Now it was intense. Like Bellamy said, like, I didn't realize how much I was allergic to until I started eating all these crazy things. But it was totally, it feels like you have to work your way up, but it's not unmanageable. There's only 2 of them. They trade labor. So Stella wonders if your chickens peck their own eggs if you feed them eggshells. That's what happened to her.
Yeah, we haven't had any issue with that. I don't know how we crush them up like pretty small and bake them. I've heard that if you feed it to them raw, then they get like the taste for it. So
maybe that is the answer.
Yeah, we haven't had any problems with it quite yet.
How often do you harvest the eggs? Does an egg get harvested as soon as it's laid?
Yeah, I go out. So they stay we close them up in the coop at nighttime. We don't really have any predators around because I have like a scary pit bull. So there's no raccoons in the backyard, but we put them away at night and then when we go out in the morning, check the egg box. There's usually a couple in there in the morning, and then maybe check it again midday if we don't have anything going on, or just check it again when we put them to bed. So we've been getting 5 to 7 a day right now.
Wow. And I've heard that if you eat too many eggs, you can start developing an allergy to it, but I doubt from your
haven't had any of that yet.
Yeah.
I ate a lot.
Joe suggests that you not give things you're going to eat a name. I think he's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and the meat birds didn't get names.
Companion planting is very good for keeping things down. Stella said the hardest thing she ever did was eat her cow after raising it from a baby, but the meat was incredible. I bet that would really hurt. But you know what? Maybe we need to get in touch with who we really are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I can't do it here. We're trying to get out of town eventually, sometime sooner rather than later. But I want to do a couple pigs, and I watch all these like dad videos on YouTube. That's like what my whole YouTube feed is like dad videos. It's a lot of homesteading people and like how to build like an off-grid structure, and then a lot of gun reviews and stuff like that. But Yeah, like oh shit, I've lost my train of thought.
Your ultimate goal is to get out of town, but I
Yeah,
was saying don't
yeah.
name your
So I saw
cows.
these people that had like an acre and a half, and they raised a whole bunch of chickens, like 30 chickens, 30 meat birds a couple times a year, and 2 pigs on that small. I want to get like 5 acres, but yeah, they did 2 pigs, and yeah, it'd be tough to do because
I was wondering, I want to go. We have a listener who's not here right now, Shannon, who bought some land in Montana. He said there's a microclimate in Euclid, Montana, which is 7 miles south of the Canadian border, but it almost never snows, whatever. But I talked to Bill,
Wow.
the guy at Neighbors Feed and Seed, who's one of our sponsors, like, do not go to Montana. It is too cold. No, 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 no. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, it's pretty cold here for me. It gets down, you know, and it doesn't really get that cold here in the wintertime. We had just had a big ice storm. Everything's melting right now. But yeah, I've never been in like sub-zero temperatures.
So you just want to
for,
move
like,
out in Oregon.
I'd love to get out of town, but
Right, okay.
you know, there's I think it's going to be harder for me to operate in this state because, you know, Portland dictates what happens to the rest of the people in the state, and they just take
Yeah.
their orders from Seattle and San Francisco. So
No, all the Californians are moving to Idaho, so that might not work
yeah,
either.
I was thinking about there too. It's cold
Idaho.
there also, but yeah, like
Yeah.
stuff there is getting expensive.
I know. So
I'm really interested in intentional communities, and my friend that lives in Puerto Rico is checking out abandoned coffee farms that were damaged in the last hurricane down there right now.
maybe I need to connect with that person.
Yeah, I'll get you the info. Maybe I'll get you in on the Telegram chat. And they're also looking at this is all pretty far off for me, but it's definitely something that's like giving me hope. And they're like checking out a lot of acreage in Central Florida too. And you know, I've never lived in the South. I was born in Georgia, but never lived there. I would love to be able to stay in this part of the world. It's my favorite, but you know, I'm open to anything, any place where I'm allowed to operate freely, more freely than I am here. And just the conversation between DeSantis and Biden last week I really enjoyed reading that transcript. So
Really? I didn't DeSantis? I thought he was
you didn't hear that when he told Biden to go fuck himself?
no, but I think that guy is a lot of messed up things. A lot of psyops happen in Florida. So
yeah, but it's open.
yeah, right. Gotcha. Yeah, for sure.
Did you see when
I didn't see it.
Oh, Biden was saying that he's going to close down the border of Florida and not let people travel to or from.
Oh, quarantine the whole state.
He's
basically.
on the phone with Fauci with him. It's crazy if you read the transcripts. It sounds like a low-level mobster, like shaking somebody down.
See,
and he's like, "Come on, man! You know you need the vaccine, and if you don't restrict travel, you're not going to get what you need." And then DeSantis tells him that if he does that, he'll deploy the Florida State National Guard.
why did we get to see the transcript of that conversation?
I don't know. And then like
Florida,
he calls him Joe, and Biden goes, "You call me either Mr. President or President Biden." And he goes,
Oh my
he goes, "How about you go fuck yourself?"
Yeah,
and then hangs up.
Doesn't that sound a little?
It sounds a little strange to be out
histrionic.
there, but it definitely makes you, Joe
All right, I'll
Biden
check that out.
demands to be called president, this, that, whatever.
Yeah, that seems surprising. So maybe they're constructing his image. This is going to be the kind of undertone criticism. He's not only crazy, he's an egomaniac. Let's see. I have to see that. I will definitely find that. So I have one more question to ask you, Adam.
Yeah.
Where do you get the energy? Did you say you're just clean as a whistle? You don't do anything that can slow you down? You drink coffee, right?
I drink a lot of coffee. That's about it. Yeah.
Amen to that.
I mean,
as
like a
well.
lot of coffee?
No, like a pot a day. Just like a normal amount in the mornings. And then like on my days off, I drink some coffee. But yeah, I'm never hungover or anything like that. So I don't have a ton of friends. I'm in relatively good physical condition. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
You do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I feel like if you're running around all the time, taking care of your physical property, your chickens, your vegetation, how do you put the kind? I mean, that would exhaust me for a whole day. You just build up to it? You just have that kind of energy?
Yeah, I've done it for a long time, so it's just kind of built
Got
in.
it.
And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's if I rented my house, I wouldn't want to make it nicer. And just coming from California, I was resigned to the fact that I was never going to own a house, and get an opportunity to come here and actually do it.
Right.
At a way older age than most people get to buy their first house, just because of where I landed. I just take a lot of pride in it, and I enjoy like doing yard work and being in the backyard, and it's really nice out there. So,
well, I think you are going to be a really great dad, and I hope
thanks so much. That's
hope that it's going to be a homeschool situation, and it gives me hope for the future. We are the future, the tunnel people. The children of the tunnel people. But it's not tunnels. It's not tunnels. I love the handle, but you can't grow chickens in a tunnel. Well, maybe you can grow chickens, but you're not going to be able to grow the other stuff.
Yeah. But I just wanted to thank you guys, because all the promotion you do for like this and coming on the show a couple times, and it's just you along with a couple other people are the biggest supporters of our entry into this world. So thank you so much.
Well, you're great. We love you. And I absolutely love the idea behind your show.
Yes,
and
great.
Why don't you tell people, because we're going to put this into the feed of our audio. Why don't you tell people what it is? And again, I know you started out, but where to find you and all that.
Yeah, so it's Deborah Gets Red Pilled. It's available on most podcast players. You can go on there and find Monica and Brad on there telling me about Stacey Abrams. And then you can also find Monica solo on there talking about the Boston bombing. And we got a bunch of great guests. We got some good ones that are just between Deborah and I. And tune in and just see like somebody changing in real time in a really uncomfortable way right in front of your eyes. It's pretty entertaining. Some shows aren't the best. Some are really good.
She's so open-minded too. It's great.
Yeah. But yeah, if you guys want to go check it out, please do, and leave us ratings and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff, because it helps us out. And we're going to keep cranking them out. We're getting kind of worn out on the COVID and geopolitical stuff. So I'm kind of not really transitioning the whole show, but I want to do like a lot of ancient mysteries stuff, and I want to talk about Atlantis and Tartaria and all that kind of stuff, because I feel way more spiritually fulfilled when I get done with those shows, rather than talking about like elite politicians molesting kids.
I have two more things before you move on from the deep dive. I can crack the code on MH370 for her.
Okay.
And
what's
I don't know if
MH370?
It was the plane that fell out of the sky over Indonesia or whatever.
Oh,
they
I'd
for
love
it
to
for
do that.
Years.
Yeah.
And then I know where it is.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know who Miriam Carey is, but she was the chick who was gunned down in DC.
Okay.
And so anyway, I'm not inviting myself on your show, but before you move
you have an
away,
open invite, both of you.
That's all I got. And I feel like it's ancient history now anyway, all that stuff.
No, we're gonna keep revisiting everything. And I want to do, if we're doing like, I want to do a bunch of like liberty minded stuff too, because 1 hour long episode with Legal Man got her to rescind her endorsement of the whole American political system. So,
Oh my God.
She no longer believes in democracy, so it's pretty awesome.
That sounds like a black pill.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right. Well, that was super fantastic. Thanks everybody for coming. It was really awesome. People set their calendar to contribute to the show. I really appreciate that. We're hoping to do a little more of this live stream thing because it's really fun to exchange ideas and figure out how we can, it makes us feel like a part of a community. And it's so valuable, this idea of the Freedom Cell, even if the site is clunky, if it just takes one way to get one moment to get something going, I'm all for it. So I'm going to visit it before the sun is down.
Yeah, put it in the show notes. It's freedomcells.org.
Freedomcells.org. Okay, we'll do. Thank you so much, Adam. Thanks, everybody.
Adam.
Thanks,
Thank you guys
Bigly.
so much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
man.
everybody, for listening. Love you all.
Thanks, guys.